Good morning, everybody. This is Lori, and I am the FSA HRA Client Services Supervisor at Sterling Administration. And I just wanted to thank everybody for joining on the call today. We're going to go over the website, and I'll do an online demonstration to show you all of the wonderful things that are available through Sterling's website. So when you first log in, you'll notice that you have all of your accounts listed on the left-hand side. If you only have flexible benefits plans, it will show right here. If your service does offer health savings account, it will be listed here. Also, you'll notice that there are some little attention signs up here if any action needs to be taken on your account. And so you can click anything orange on the website and it will show you more information. So if you wanted to renew your benefits, it would say, attention, please click here to renew benefits. You will actually see this up to 90 days prior to your benefits being renewed. So you can renew your benefits anytime up to 90 days before the renewal date. And in order to do that, you would just click right here. And this renewal was already completed for this demo account, but it would walk you through the whole renewal process. If you're not changing anything, it really only takes a couple of minutes to complete. It's very quick and easy. If you do have employees that you want to give Enrollment Express to, and I will show you how to do that later, but you would assign a username and a password to all of your employees, and they would log in and they would select their benefits, and then you would get an email every week on Monday that you have pending enrollments that need to be completed, or every time you log in, you will see this attention message here. You would just click here. And if there was any additional employees that needed to verify, you could verify that information right here. Okay, so right here in the middle of your screen, this is just a snapshot of the accounts that you have with Sterling. If you have a health savings account, it will show here, and any of your FSA or HRA products will show here. It's going to show your account number. It is different if you have an HSA account. And it's going to show you the plan year and how many employees you currently have enrolled. Okay. And down towards the bottom of the page, we have notifications if there's any action items that need to be taken on your account. Over here on the resources side, there's a website guide for the FSA and for the HRA, and if your group does offer HSA, there is also an HSA website guide. There's a link to the IRS here. Another thing that we have on here, whenever you have participants that are asking if something is eligible, we always recommend that our clients encourage the participants to call in directly to customer service so that we can help them with their questions over the phone. But if you did have somebody that came to you and you were curious if it was an eligible expense, you could click on this link, and this is also available when the employee logs in the same location. And it is a detailed list of eligible expenses. So it's going to go in alphabetical order with anything that's covered, and it will list out if it's covered for the standard FSA or limited FSA, or if it's HSA compatible. So for example, over-the-counter drugs would be covered, but only with a prescription. On a limited purpose, which covers vision and dental only, it would not be covered. So it is a very detailed list. As you can see, it has quite a few products on there. But if you or your employees wanted to view the IRS publication regarding eligible expenses, you could just simply click here. But it is pretty detailed once you open that up. So you can find out what's covered. It says what medical expenses are includable. Okay, so when I click on the Flexible Benefits Plan tab over here, this is going to give you the account summary page. And again, it's going to give you your highlighted information up here if there's any action that's required, your general account number, and it's going to show you which plans you have with the flexible benefits. And then you can view a little graph here for your payroll contributions or your claims paid each month if you want to see how your employees are submitting claims, if there's a busier month, if they're doing it in the beginning or the end of the plan year or right in the middle. So one of the things you would click on is you can just click on whichever plan you want to see, and it will show you a little graph of your payroll contributions, what the total payroll contributions are year to date for that plan. Now the other thing you can do to get more information about contributions is you can click on the Contribution tab over here, and you would select your benefit plan that you want to view the contributions for. So if you're reviewing the current plan year, that would be here. And then it's going to list down here all of your payroll dates. And remember, anything in orange you can click on and expand, and it will provide you with more information. So in this case, when you expand it, it's going to give you the date, the totals for each plan, and it's going to list your employee's name, their account number, and what their contribution was for the employee. If you're an employer that offers contributions, the employer contribution will be listed out over here. Then the other great thing about this is it lists all your plans. So down here it's showing the transit plan, so it'll break it up by plan type. And give you a total down at the bottom. So the important thing about this screen is if your group does offer a transit and parking plan, anytime you pull a report or if you'd like to see your contributions, our transit and parking plan ends in the year 2099. So you would need to actually pull that report. Sometimes people will pull the other report and it'll show zeros for parking and transit and there's no contributions, but you have to pull the plan year ending in 2099 and it will show those contributions. It's going to show 0 for healthcare because the healthcare you're going to have to pull the actual plan year that you're in. So when you look at this and pull it by plan year, it's going to show you if there were any healthcare contributions, but the parking and transit would be 0. So you can also run an invoice information for yourself. Sometimes we get a call where somebody didn't receive an invoice. Sometimes they get caught up in spam filters, or maybe the accounting department would like to see it at a later point. So when you click on the Invoices tab, it actually breaks it down into 3 categories. This is your monthly admin fee. And then we also do have claims invoicing if your group does claim invoicing. Or if your group is pre-funding, you would see your pre-funding invoices here each pay period. So there's a couple ways that you can do it. You can actually search by an invoice number if somebody wants to look at a specific invoice number and you can't find it in your email. You can search to see if you have any balances that are outstanding. You can look at all statuses if you like, or partially paid. And you can sort by a specific invoice date. If you don't search for any of those, it's just going to list all of your invoices. And you can actually sort your invoice by number, or you can sort it by date or due date, the total. And then the status over here is going to show you whether or not they've all been paid or if you have any balances that are due. Now the really great thing about the invoices is when you click on the orange, it just expands and opens up to give you the information that's on the invoice. And you can actually download it into a PDF format. So in case you need to get a copy of it in PDF. So if you did have a claims invoice that you wanted to go back and see, it's the same thing. You can sort and filter by whichever information you're looking for. So then on the Employees tab, this is a great page for a lot of information. So again, like I said, if you do have employees that have questions about their account with Sterling, we recommend that you have them call Sterling. But sometimes you have an employee in the very beginning that is enrolling and needs to use their account right away. They can always enroll at sterlingadministration.com for their online plan, but they do need to get their account number. So you would be able to get that for them if needed, but they could also call in and get that information as well. So you can search for your employees. You can do it either by last name, first name, or account number, or you can search the employees that you have enrolled in specific plans, and you can also search by the plan year. And then you can choose how you want to sort the report. If you want to see all of your employees, you can actually just search, and this will give you all of your employees. One thing you can do is you can actually download this report in Excel, which is helpful. But anything in orange you can click on. So if you had Alexander just enroll and he really needed to file a claim online because he had an emergency room visit and hasn't received his debit card, you could view his account number right here and give him his account number, and then he could go to sterlingadministration.com and create his online account and file a claim right away. So if you click on the account number, it's actually going to expand for you, and you can actually change your employees' addresses right here. If any of your employees are filing claims, it's really important that if they're having a check mailed out to them, that we have their correct address on file so the check doesn't get sent to the wrong address and delay their payment. So if you are aware that an employee has moved, it's always a good idea to go in here and just update their address. Now, another thing that comes up quite often, right here it's going to show you what plans they're currently enrolled in, what their annual election is, and what their available balance is. But some employees for transit or parking, or maybe they get married or have a qualifying life event and they need to change their annual election, you would click on Submit a Qualifying Event or Annual Change. You would also use this feature if you had an employee that was actually terminating their account or they terminated with Sterling. So you would click on the Submit a Qualifying Event Change. You'll see the employee's name here to make sure you're doing the correct employee. You would select the type of event. So if it's an employment termination, they're no longer employed. Terminations should be entered on the date that that employee terminates. You can do a termination in advance if you would like. The system will accept it. So sometimes about this time of month we get terminations for August 31st, and you can go ahead online and enter in those terminations. But also if somebody got married, that would be a change in number of eligible tax benefits. And so you could enter that, and then you would select the plan to change and the effective date, the plan year, and the new annual election amount, and the new pay period contribution amount. So that one's very helpful. Keep in mind, though, if you do have an EDI file feed, the EDI file feed will contain all the enrollments, terminations, or changes to annual elections. So you wouldn't use this feature if you actually had an EDI file. So then if you click on the Manage Divisions, so this, we've had some of our employers that have asked us to separate their divisions. And sometimes you can do this by different departments that you have with your company, or you can do this if you have different site locations. You can actually just set up the division code. So you would put in the division code here that you want. This is how it would show. And then you would put in the division name here, and this is how it would show. And then it's going to tell the employer how many employees are currently enrolled in that division. And the wonderful thing is you can edit. So if you want to change the name of the division code or division name, you can do that here and then just save it. Or if you actually want to delete that division code, you can delete it. It will say, are you sure you wish to delete this division? All employees in this division will revert to none as their division, so it would be blank. The reason that employers may want to have a division code is solely for the reporting purposes. And when you're running reports with Sterling, it will identify if there is a division code. And I'll show you that when we go over the reports here in a couple minutes. So that is something that is available to you if you'd like to use. Now, enroll employees. This one we get a lot of questions about. And there's two methods that you can do for enrolling your employees online. Again, if you have an EDI file feed, you don't need to worry about this. But if you're not using an EDI file feed, you can give your employees an enrollment login information. And so it would be the same username and password for all of your employees. They would log in and register for their benefits. Then you would get an email and an email reminder once a week on Mondays to approve that. And so I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to do that. So you click here for more information. It says if you wish to have your employees enroll online, you can create a username and password for an enrollment account. Provide the username and password to your employees so they can log in and set up their FSA online. Once they enroll online, you'll see them pending under your management account to be funded by the employer. To create an enrollment account, or if you've forgotten your password for a previously created enrollment account, you can click and let us know. We can always reset it. So to create your enrollment account, you would go here. Now this is the username that you're going to give to all of your employees. So if we were doing this at Sterling, we could do a username of Sterling. And then you would give a password to all your employees, the same password. So maybe you could do like Sterling123. Then you, this contact information is going to be the HR contact person who's actually going to be in charge of approving those enrollments. So if you have Susie, who is the HR generalist, and she is in charge of doing all your open enrollment or mid-plan year enrollments. So say you have Susie Jones. Now, only the information with a little asterisk is required. So the job title isn't required, the phone number isn't required, the fax number isn't required. Those fields are helpful for us just in case we need to get a hold of somebody, but not required. So all you need to do is create the username, password, name, and Susie's email address. You could do Susie2. And then, oh, Sterling already exists. Let's do Sterling1. Okay, so now it's saying that the user has been created successfully. So it shows here that Susie, where we have Susie Jones, right here. She's the Manage Enrollment Account Access person. This is her username. She has access for the enrollment account. And if you wanted to view or edit any of this information, you could go in and change it to a different person. You could either delete her user or you can inactivate her if she goes on to another job, and then you would just create a new Enrollment Express account, because the enrollment information has to go to that person so that that person can review and approve those enrollments and make sure that they're correct, and make sure that your payroll department gets notified. So some groups will use that method. The other method that you can use for enrolling employees is an Excel spreadsheet. So click here for more information. Use a pre-formatted Excel spreadsheet file to enroll employees in an FSA. Enter the employee data in the required format and save the spreadsheet as it should be a .csv file on your desktop and upload the file. Your completed file will be uploaded to Sterling's secure server. So in order to get started, just click here. So it says download the pre-formatted Excel spreadsheet below to enroll employees. For instructions on what to enter for each column, you can click on the second tab called Instructions below the Excel spreadsheet on the left side. Enter the employee's data in the required format and save the spreadsheet as a .csv, delimited file on your desktop, and then you'll be able to upload the file. Your completed file will be uploaded into Sterling's secure server. So for your convenience, we've listed some of the plan types here, the most popular ones, and then for the HRA plans, if you offer an HRA plan, you would need to enter the tiers. So you would click on the Excel enrollment spreadsheet right here and open that. So on this spreadsheet, it's going to show you the employee's first name. Anything in red is required. So employee's first name, middle initial is not required, last name, social security number, their gender, address, city, state, zip, phone number, date of birth. If you have a division code, it needs to go in here. But if you do not have a division code, you just need to make sure that that column is blank. That column still needs to be there because it has to be in this file to upload, but you would just want to remove any information. Then you have the plan type. And the great thing about the plan type is we have a little drop-down menu for you, so you can search which plan type you need to put them in, dependent care. And in the instruction tab right over here, for the plan type, it actually lists them right here, and it tells you which plans it is, okay? And then you have your effective date, your annual election. Now this data is not required, but it is helpful to us when you are uploading this information. And then if your group does offer debit cards, you would want to put that your group does offer the debit card here so that that can get ordered. It'll fill in as yes. If you do have an HRA plan, this is where the coverage tier would go. Okay. So everything else on here is not required. And so you would save that as a file. We would save this as a .csv or delimited file. For some reason, my Excel up there. Let's see. Looks like I'm just having a momentary problem connecting to Excel, but it's a .csv file. You'll see it in the drop-down once you go into Excel. Ah, here it is. So this is the CSV, delimited file that you would save it as. and you can just save that right directly to your desktop. And once you save that information, then you would go back to the file upload screen. You're going to browse and then attach the file and upload it. So one of our new features online, which is really, really, really great for any of you that are having an upcoming renewal. So we have a renew employees. Some of our groups have the same employees that are working there year after year. The same employees are always enrolling in the FSA plan. So if you have any new employees when you renew your plan, you would have to use one of these methods. But for any renewing employees that were already enrolled with Sterling, you could actually use a simpler spreadsheet. So, and it says right here, this spreadsheet must only be used to renew existing employees in your company's benefits. And then there's actually a little guide here. But if you click on the enrollment spreadsheet, it's very easy. Sorry. Okay. Okay. So here is your renewal spreadsheet. It already is pre-populated for you with the employee's name, if there was a middle initial that we had on file, the last name, and anything in red for this one we also need completed. So their employee account number is already populated. The only thing that you'll need to enter is what plan type they're enrolling in. So if they're enrolling in FSA, transit, parking, HRA, you would need to fill in that information. And again, the plan type is going to be listed for you on the instructions for that column. So then you would enter the effective date here and the annual election information here. That's all you need to do. Everything over here that's in dark gray is optional. That information would be helpful to have on hand for Sterling to make sure that everything gets set up accurately. But all you need to complete, and the only information that is required, is what's in red. So we've already got 3 of those columns pre-populated for you. So there's only 3 more columns that you need to populate for your renewal enrollments. So we did that to make it a lot easier for our groups and to save you all a lot of time. Okay, so again, you would have to save this as a .csv file. Once you save it as a .csv file, you would just browse and upload the file. Now the great thing is, whenever you're uploading a file, we actually give you a file upload history. It tells you what date you uploaded it and what the upload results were. So if you were able to successfully load all 4 employees, it's going to tell you how many were uploaded. If the employees did not get uploaded, it'll tell you, and it'll say 2 failed to upload. So you can go into the upload number, and it's orange, so you know you can expand that. It's going to tell you the process date and whether or not it was successful. It's going to show you the employee's name, their account number, and their plan type. So that's really helpful. Now, one thing I want to show you guys that I personally always do whenever I make a change online, whether it's a termination or an enrollment, I always switch over to the Reports tab, and I run my favorite report, which is an enrollee balance report. This is a good snapshot of your plan. So you would just select plan year. If it was transit or parking, you would need to pull this, or if it's this current plan year. And it's going to default to the starting date and the end date. Here's where the divisions come into play. So you can either do all divisions, or you can select one division to run on the report. And then I recommend that you do it in Excel format so you can sort and filter the report if needed, but we also do have it available in PDF format. So then you would run the report. And when you run this report, it's going to come up with the employee's name, account number. If you had division codes, it would be listed here by your division name. And then when the employee was effective, if you've entered any of those termination dates on the employee screen, that would be reflected here. It's going to show you their annual election, contributions year-to-date, claims paid, forfeiture balance, and available balance. And I do recommend that anytime you do an enrollment, you just take a quick look at this report. For example, I had one group where they did all of their enrollments online, but occasionally they would run this report and they might have done a typo and done $260 instead of $2,600. And so I would get a call right away from the group saying, "Oh, Lori, I made a mistake. I did a typo. I see it's $260 and it should be $2,600. So it kind of gives you just a good snapshot. I've had other groups who are normally really good about terminating, but sometimes things get really busy in the office or somebody gets sick or something happens. And so this is a good idea because if you know that Philip C. Wright was terminated last month and is no longer working there and he doesn't have a termination date, you would want to go online and make sure that his plan is terminated. And so that report is very helpful. You can save it. I always recommend groups pull it like once a month just to take a look because it is a really good snapshot. You can actually run activity statement reports. Some of our groups do this like on a monthly, quarterly, or you can do it twice a year. But you would just select your plan year, the dates that you want to run the report for. And it's going to show you all the contribution activity. And you can actually even do a printer-friendly version. It's going to show you all the contributions for that plan. Okay. So some of the other reports that I'm going to cover for you guys are the contribution report. So the contribution report is going to give you an aggregate total of contributions year to date. This is helpful if you are a claims invoicing group and you want to reconcile that the contributions year to date with Sterling match the contributions year to date that you've withheld from employees' payroll. So it's really easy to do it here because if you run a contribution year to date report and compare it against this report, it should match exactly. It's going to give you the employee account number, first last name, the division code if you offer that, the contribution, if there's any employer contribution, and the total. So it's going to be a total number here. But then if you wanted to see the contribution report detail by pay period, you actually can pull a contribution report detail. And that's going to break it down by each pay period for you. So when I pull this report, It's going to show you the account number, first and last name. And this one, well, it's not a good example because it doesn't look like there's anything there. Let me see if I can find a different one for you guys. Because it's going to actually break it down by pay period. So it's really a good report if you want to see all the pay period contributions. Okay, so here we go. So this is going to show you the deduction date. So these are all the contributions that were posted for 1/16. And then you're going to have all the contributions posted for 1/31 and whatever pay dates you have for the year. So it's going to show you what Sterling actually posted. So that's a great report too. You can run claims report by type or by plan year. You can run an all claims report to view all your claims. Another really good report is the debit card swipe report. So as you all probably know, your employees that have debit cards, it's a convenience for them to use their debit card so that they don't have to pay any out-of-pocket expenses. But sometimes the IRS does require supporting documentation to verify that that's an eligible claim. And we actually would email the employee within 24 to 48 hours of that transaction and let them know that we do need supporting documentation. Then if we still haven't received it at day 30, we would send them a reminder email. And then at day 45, it would show them that we still haven't received the supporting documentation, and we let them know that we're actually going to suspend their card until that reporting documentation is received. So what it's going to show on the report is the claim number, the transaction date, the approved amount, if it was an FSA or a dependent care, and it's going to say yes or no here. If it has yes, there's no need to either provide substantiation or they've already provided it. If it has no, that means they need to provide documentation. So again, when your employees approach you and say, oh, I'm trying to use my card, but my card isn't working, we always recommend you to have the employee call us directly so that we can speak to the employee and we can let them know what is needed or what is required. But if you wanted to look up this report, you could see that employee, and if it had a no here and that no was more than 45 days, it would be that their card is actually suspended, and they'll need to send that in. And amount remaining for offset. So this is just, we're pending that amount for their documentation. So this is a good report. We encourage employers to run this at the end of the plan year, before the plan year ends, so that employees can get in all that documentation. We do recommend to employers, if employees have not provided that documentation by the end of the run-out period, that they amend the employee's W-2 form and they change that contribution from pre-tax to post-tax. And we do send out our employers a reminder. You probably remember receiving that last year. So that is an excellent report. Okay, so user profile. This is the username, and this is the email address. If you change your email address, you can change it here. If you want to change your password, maybe you had to give it to somebody to work on a project and now you want to change it, you can change it here. If you had to give somebody your security questions and you wanted to change it at any time, or you felt like it was compromised, you could change your security questions and security phrase and image up here. Products is just going to take you to the screen if you want to add. If you only have, for example, FSA with us and you would like to add an HRA, you can actually go here and complete the application online. The company profile is your company's address and company name, so you can actually go here and update the primary email address, phone numbers, and if your company moves, you can update that. Here it's also going to show you what broker we have on record for your group. So manage site users. This is an excellent screen. We get a lot of questions about this screen, and I'm almost wrapping up, so just want to go over this and cover it for you. So these lists here, these are all the site users that you currently have with your group. They will be listed here, and it will tell you if they have super administrator access or other permissions. So super administrators would have access to everything on the website, and they would be able to add additional users. Sometimes I get employers and they just want to add somebody in accounting to be able to pull reports, and for that you would be able to do other permissions. So for example, when you create a new user here, so say you have someone new, a new HR generalist that starts and you want to give her online access. You would put in her first name, last name, and email is all that's required. If you want to fill out this information, you can, so we know how to get a hold of that person. But if we did and so for the username, it has to be at least 6 characters long, and it can be upper or lowercase. Okay. So once you do that, then you would select the role. So if you want to have Rose have full access, she would be a super administrator. If you want her just to view, she can have view, or you can do other permissions. So the other permissions you can do by product type. So we have HSA if you offer an HSA, or for FSA, HRA, you can give them this access, or if you have COBRA or ERISA. So say you just wanted to give that employee access to reports, you would just click on reports. Okay. Now maybe that person was running reports for you and was doing an excellent job and got a promotion. So now she needs to have more access. You would go in here and edit. And now you can either give her more access here, or if you want to change her to be a super administrator, you can change her to be a super administrator, and then she would have full access. And then it asks you to confirm here. Okay, so it tells you account has been created successfully. User will receive an email shortly to confirm the account. Once they receive that email, it will have them set up their security phrase and image and their password and information that they need to log in online going forward. So that's all you need to do to add somebody onto your account. So then we just have a message center. This is also like the notifications on the main screen if you had any messages. And then at the bottom, we just have the renewal, which also will be on the main screen. So you can click there for your plan renewal. So I hope everything was very useful for everybody today. I wanted to let you know that if you do have any questions, you should follow up with your client service specialist directly, and we'd be happy to provide any more detailed assistance. Also, at the end of the call, when you hang up, it will give you a feedback window, and we appreciate any feedback. If you have any suggestions, any questions, any anything that we could do better, we would appreciate that feedback. It's very helpful for us. And I just want to thank you very much for taking time out of your day and joining us on the call. We will have another upcoming webinar in 2 weeks, and that will be at 11 o'clock on Thursday. And we also do have a Sterling YouTube channel, which has has short videos on there, like just how to do enrollments if you want to go there, if you have someone new that you're showing how to do it. And we also do have a download of the webinar, so you can actually go to the Sterling channel on YouTube and listen to this webinar, or if you think anybody else would be interested and it would be helpful to any of your other employees, they can do that as well. So I hope everybody has a great day, and thank you again for your time, and we appreciate your business. Bye-bye.